This is Dark Reflex, and today we delve into a chapter of history so dark, so disturbing, it feels less like fact and more like a nightmare spun from the deepest corners of human depravity. What if I told you about a place where suffering was science, where human bodies were merely raw materials for unspeakable experiments? A place shrouded in secrecy, its horrors meticulously erased, yet echoes still reverberate. If you find yourself drawn to the shadows of history, consider subscribing and joining our journey into the unsettling. The year is 1937. The world teetered on the brink, and in a remote corner of Japanese-occupied Manchuria, a sinister operation began to take shape. Unit 731. The name itself carries a chilling resonance, a sterile designation for what was, in reality, a sprawling complex dedicated to biological and chemical warfare research. But this wasn't research as we understand it. It involved vivisection, forced infections, and frostbite experiments, all performed on living human beings, often referred to as maruta, or logs, by the unit's personnel. Imagine the bitter cold of Manchuria, the biting wind, and within these walls, the screams that were never meant to be heard beyond the barbed wire. Dr. Shiro Ishii, the unit's ambitious and utterly ruthless leader, envisioned a future where disease itself was a weapon, and he believed no ethical boundary should stand in the way of his vision. From 1937 to 1945, thousands of individuals, Chinese, Koreans, Russians, even Allied POWs, were subjected to unimaginable torment. They were deliberately infected with plague, cholera, anthrax, and other pathogens, their agonizing deaths meticulously documented for scientific study. Researchers observed the progression of diseases without intervention, often dissecting victims while they were still alive to examine organ damage. The scope of Unit 731's atrocities extended beyond disease. Prisoners were subjected to frostbite experiments, their limbs frozen and then thawed to study gangrene and treatment methods. Some were spun in centrifuges until they died. Others had their blood replaced with animal blood, or were subjected to pressure chambers until their eyes popped out. The sheer scale of the cruelty, the cold, calculated detachment of the perpetrators, is almost impossible to comprehend. These weren't random acts of violence. They were systematic, government-sanctioned horrors, carried out under the guise of scientific advancement. As World War II drew to a close in August 1945, and the Soviet Union launched its invasion of Manchuria, Unit 731's operations came to an abrupt, desperate end. The Japanese military, in a frantic effort to destroy all evidence, demolished the facility, executing the remaining prisoners and attempting to erase their crimes from history. Thousands of bodies were incinerated, buildings leveled, and records burned. But some evidence, some testimonies, always survive. What happened to the men responsible for these horrors? This is where the story takes another chilling turn. After Japan's surrender, many of the top Japanese scientists and officers from Unit 731, including Dr. Shiro Ishii himself, were granted immunity from war crimes prosecution by the United States. In exchange for what? The invaluable data they had collected from their human experiments. This Faustian bargain, made in the shadow of the Cold War and the burgeoning nuclear age, allowed these perpetrators to escape justice, some even going on to have successful careers in medicine and academia. The victims, the Maruta, were denied even the dignity of remembrance for decades. Their stories were buried, their pain silenced. The legacy of Unit 731 is a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for cruelty and the dangerous allure of unchecked power. It forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about scientific ethics, accountability, and the compromises made in the name of national interest. How can we ensure such atrocities are never repeated if those who committed them are never truly held responsible? The ghosts of Unit 731 whisper from the archives, a testament to suffering that demands to be heard, demanding that we never forget what happened in that desolate corner of Manchuria. The shadows of history are long, and some secrets, no matter how deeply buried, will always find a way to surface. Stay in the dark with me,